Hey guys and gals, welcome back to Not the Day Job Pod, where we discuss anything that piques our interest as long as it's not our day job. As always, I'm joined by Jacob, Corey. Jacob, let's get it started. What's good?
Well, last week you kind of talked about all these new Disney movies that are coming out, these new, quote, live action movies. Mm-hmm. And I think the day after we talked about it here on the podcast, the Lion King live action trailer dropped.
Yeah. It was recent, for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, we didn't talk about the Lion King trailer in the way into it. What'd you guys think of it?
I just seen it today because you guys showed it to me. But the side-by-side of when it first came out in the
94.
And now the 2019 trailer was like awesome. The
Yeah.
parallel of how, it was a mirror image of the trailer that it was. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Blew my mind, really.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I'm kind of hoping that the whole movie itself will more or less be a shot-for-shot remake. I don't want them to mess with it because,
me either.
In my opinion, The Lion King the one from '94 is a perfect movie. It's a perfect movie. It's my favorite Disney movie.
Same here. Yeah.
Shortly after Danielle and I got married, we were walking through either Target or Best Buy, and we saw the Lion King on Blu-ray, and I was like, we have to get it.
Yeah.
And then we went through the check stand and we bought it, and then like on the way home, I'm like, oh, we don't have a Blu-ray player. So when we got back home into town, we ended up buying a Blu-ray player just so we could watch the Lion King. And actually, real quick, last week when we were talking about all these new CGI movies coming out from Disney, we said that The Lion King came out in 96, when in fact it came out from 94, so it's a little self-correction. We said 96, it's actually 94.
That's going to be... So, do we know the exact date it's coming out in 2019?
It's summer from what I remember. I don't know the exact date.
Yeah.
But here's a little lineup of what's coming out next year for Disney movies. Disney is going to kill it next year. If any of our listeners has any extra Disney stock floating around they just want to send our way, you can hit us up at notthedayjobpod@gmail.com. But here's a list of some Disney movies coming out next year. So we have Lion King. We have Infinity War 2, also known as Infinity War 2, we're making another one. We have Toy Story 4, or Toy Story, we're making another one. The Aladdin live action, Dumbo live action, Frozen 2, we're doing another one, Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, we're doing another one, or Far From Home. And then Star Wars Episode 9, the last one until the next one. That's just next year.
Yeah, that's going to be
from
a good
Disney.
year for that.
They are bringing our childhood back, man. It is like all the classic Disney movies are coming back in their live action.
See, the thing
it is going to be awesome.
The thing I like too is that they're not only bringing it back, but they're also extending it. You know, the new Mary Poppins Returns.
Yeah, so that one comes out,
I believe,
before
this year.
the end of the year.
Yeah,
Mary Poppins does.
Mm-hmm. Oh. And it's a. I mean, not that the original Mary Poppins wasn't a live action, and it's very similar. Includes the the animation, kind of randomly thrown in there that kind of made it so cool. But it's, I believe, if I get the story right, it's Mary Poppins returns to, now the children have grown up and they have their own kids. And Mary Poppins here to not only watch the older kids that have now grown up, but also their younger kids as well. And I think Dick Van Dyke makes, some appearance in it somehow. But
how old is he now?
Very.
Gotta be,
very old.
Yeah. I remember watching the Dick Van Dyke Show with Dad.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
Yeah, so this Mary Poppins kind of feels kind of in the, I don't know, the same category as what the Christopher Robin movie was, where it's this childhood figure coming back to remind us that, growing up is part of life.
Yeah.
Or rather, getting old is part of life. Growing up isn't. You can still maintain your youth while you grow older. So I mean, that looks interesting. I might check it out. But I was just kind of thinking, going back to that Lion King trailer, I didn't look at how many views that trailer itself had, but I can almost guarantee just in ad revenue for how many clicks
Oh
this
my
trailer
gosh.
got, it probably made more money than this most recent Robin Hood movie that was released this past week.
So
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think that when this Lion King live action movie drops in summer of 2019.
Which, by the way, is July 19th of next
Oh,
year.
nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. And I think when it comes out, drops like July 19th. I think it will be the biggest movie that Disney has ever put out. I think it will trump any other movie. I think that I just looked it up, and the number one movie that Disney has put out that made the most money was Force Awakens. That's
Yeah.
number one. I think it will blow that out of
What's
the
the
water.
figure on Force Awakens?
Worldwide gross is $2 billion.
2 billion.
Yeah.
That's enough money to cover the budget for every movie that's coming out next year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which just means they come out with even more, bigger, better than next year. But as
Yeah.
far as I can, as far as I can tell, most kids this generation, or young kids, they've all have to see Lion King. I still think Lion King's a staple as when it comes to
for
Disney
sure.
movies.
Yeah.
But I think the fact too that they also have captured these now adults. They've captured a lot of generations with that Lion King movie. So I think, not everybody's into Star Wars, not everybody's into Marvel movies, but I think to go along with you, Corey, I could see that movie doing very, very well.
Yeah.
I think it's going
Just
to be the best one
because
they've ever put out. Yeah.
It captures such a big demographic because, whether you were a kid when the movie came out or you were a parent that had kids when the movie came out or had grandkids when that movie came out, you've seen The Lion King,
Right.
So, just to put it kind of a little perspective, number 19 on the list of the most famous Disney movies. Number 19 is the Jungle Book live action. Number 18 is the original Lion King.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that... So, yeah, I just think it's going to blow... Well, it's for sure going to blow Jungle Book out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
It's
And that's number... I think, what did I just say?
12, I think.
18.
18 is what Lion King's at.
19 is Jungle Book. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I misheard.
So that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm super looking forward to all these
Yeah.
live action Disney stuff.
So, do you think that, based on just the trailer alone and how we saw that thing on YouTube, the side-by-side comparison from the original to this new one, do you think that if it is a shot-for-shot remake, do you think that will hurt it or benefit it? Because part of me thinks if you're not going to change anything, why do it? But then the other side of me is like, if this movie is what brings in another generation to be fans of one of the best Disney movies ever,
Right.
then why not do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for it. I will definitely see it because I have very good feelings about The Jungle Book and Jon Favreau, the guy who did it.
Because he's directing Lion
Okay.
King as well.
So Jungle Book, was that a shot-for-shot remake?
No, that one had a lot of creative differences,
Okay,
but it still worked really well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
I
right.
loved the Jungle Book. I just can't remember how close it stuck to the original.
Right.
The funny thing too, well, I guess Jungle Book did a pretty good job of it, but in the animated movie The Lion King, when they do like the I Can't Wait to Be King, and it's a very animated and musical-ish
Yeah.
shot and sequence in that movie. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out with I guess you could call it more serious. Do you feel like CGI gives the movie a little bit more of a serious tone?
Personally, I
it's-
don't think so.
If it's done right, it's not necessarily that you can take it more seriously. Actually, I don't know where to go with this. I don't know.
Because
I have mixed feelings.
what was the one song in I Want to Be Like You that the
Jungle Book?
Christopher Walken's
King Louis?
King Louis sings. It was very different. I personally like the original better, and I think they can get away with the original very, playful, because it is an animated movie, and you expect that out of an animated movie.
Yeah, it's a cartoon.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
you can have fun with the music, and whether they're building a this massive, basic pyramid of animals with antelopes and, sprawling out. You can have fun with that, and there's a bunch of colors, and the song can match that. So I'm interested because it's animated and it's playful.
I see your point. Yeah,
and you expect that. So I'm interested to see, like, with the CGI. I'm gonna say it's a little bit more of a serious,
just the tone
of it.
I could see what you're saying now. Yeah,
There's not as much room for, like, let's make the background turn into rainbow colors and a spinning wheel.
You can't do that with live action CGI. Yeah.
I was just thinking, spoilers for Lion King, I guess. The scene in the gorge where Mufasa dies in the stampede.
Heavy.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be rough because I still get emotional watching that as a dude in my 30s.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When it's a cartoon, but when it's live
I'm
action,
gonna be
and if
crying
it's
for sure.
done well, I'm going to be a mess. Oh, boy.
It's going to be great.
And they have the entire voice cast is new except for returning champion James Earl Jones as Mufasa.
And that's the key.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
got it
the
right there.
best casting decision ever.
Yep.
Like, had they gotten someone else, I don't know how well I would have personally. I don't know how well I would have received the movie.
Yeah,
because like James Earl Jones is still alive. Disney has the money to pay him whatever he wants.
His voice has only gotten better,
right? And the only reason not to have him do it is if he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah,
and I think he's such a fan of a lot of the work that he does and a lot of the projects he's involved in. Why wouldn't he? So I mean, I'm so over the moon that he's coming back to see this project out. So
yeah, I was thinking about that today, and I was thinking I almost would rather have them take whatever voice track that he laid for the original and just don't change his lines whatsoever and throw it into the new one, because I think honestly you have to have that deep voice. It just it doesn't hold. It just doesn't hold if you don't have it. And thinking of that too, I'm interested to see, that shot where after he dies and he kind of, Simba's having like the moment of like he doesn't believe in himself and he can't live up to his father's expectations, and his father kind of appears. Does he appear in the water first and then in the sky?
Right? Yeah.
That'll be interesting to see how they do that.
Yeah.
Live action.
I'm super cool.
Sure they'll figure it out, and I'm sure regardless, I'm excited for the movie.
I think
but it'll
that
just be interesting to see.
Yeah, like what you're saying, I think the soundtrack's going to change a little bit, but not for the worse or for better. I think it might just stay the same. It just might change.
Yeah.
And then I think the script will change in some ways, but shot for shot, it'll stay the same, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the movie is going to
sense.
run like start to finish the exact same timestamp as the one from '94. I think like these big moments that have been burned in our minds, those will be shot for shot. But I think like some shots might linger a little bit longer, just because they have, I don't know, the weight of that live action might resonate more with an audience. Like again, going back to Mufasa's death, they might linger on Simba, like approaching him a little bit more. They might do a slow zoom into Mufasa's face as he's laying there.
I honestly think that you can capture more emotion in the character
with live action. Yeah.
Because they're able to tweak, they can capture emotion with Simba in an animation, but it's kind of like he's either smiling, he's growling, or he's frowny faced. With live action, man, they've been able to, they can tweak muscles however they want to. So more than likely, you're going to see some emotion that you've never seen before in those moments. That's going to make you.
Well, if it looks more real, it's going to feel more real, and that's what they're going for.
Yeah, I mean, if it's anything like what they did in, again, Jungle Book, just because it's Jon Favreau who's been a part of both projects, but I'm also thinking about the Planet of the Apes, the new Planet of the Apes trilogy. The range of emotion that Caesar has, is mind blowing. I love that trilogy. We'll spend an episode talking about that someday. But if they can come
more than one episode for sure.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. But if they can come even close to how amazing Caesar was,
right,
in these characters in the Jungle Book, you're gonna feel the emotion from these CGI characters. And I don't know. This movie is definitely my most anticipated film of next year, right up to Star Wars Episode 9, the last one until the next one.
Yeah.
So that's... Oh, go ahead.
Like you said, I think those fillers, I was just thinking again, Jungle Book, but that scene where Mowgli is like he builds a contraption to get down a beehive or something.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That was fun.
It was fun, but it was and I'm
wasn't
agreeing
enough.
with you. I think it was really fun. It was that's one of those shots that it wasn't in the original, right? Unless I'm remembering something completely wrong.
No, it wasn't in the
remember.
original.
Wasn't
No.
in the original.
If we're wrong, we're wrong.
We're wrong,
Yeah.
but I think, like you said, it's one of those things where they're able to change it and tweak it a little bit, but all those moments, the fire, with King Louis, all those memorable scenes, like you were saying, were there. But you're right; they changed a little bit of the fillers, and I'd be okay with that when it comes to the Lion King.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll
like,
see.
just again, like, to me, the '94 Lion King is perfect, and if it's something is perfect, you don't need to change it. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm afraid that there are going to be a lot of people that say you shouldn't have done this. There's no reason to make this movie because the other one is perfect, and I get that point of view, but I trust the creative people
Right.
that are a part of this project enough to say
'Cause
this
their
is going
previous
to be.
work.
Yeah, I mean they've got a good track record, and again,
Yeah.
their source material is perfect.
Uh-huh.
So.
yeah. And I mean, it is a strong cast too. You got Donald Glover, which we don't know who these guys are playing yet, but Donald Glover, Seth Rogen, John Oliver, Beyonce, James Earl Jones, Keegan Michael Key. So I mean, it's a good
Star-studded
cast.
cast,
It's
yeah.
not. So got high expectations for it.
Real quick, while we're on Disney, when is the Netflix original Mowgli come out?
So
That's
that
soon,
one
right?
was released in Mumbai, India, on the 25th, which was Sunday. And then I guess it's coming. It's not a Netflix original, but Netflix does have the rights to put it on their platform starting, I think, December 7th. And
Gotcha.
then the movie will also be in select theaters. I don't have a list of what theaters those are. I hope it's one near us because I would love to see this movie on the big screen.
Yeah, me
We
too.
recently just watched the trailer. This looks incredible. Like,
Yeah.
I could compare it to Disney's Jungle Book, which is not fair because they're two completely different budgets.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
this looks good, and the voice cast is dynamite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting too to see a take on it with no, as far as we know, no music. Because they obviously don't have the rights to any of the Disney songs that were created for the Jungle Book. So
Right.
it'll be an interesting take. I like too that they kind of added. They had Shere Khan, the tiger, but then they also had like a human, like hunter figure.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be cool. I like the struggle of both against man and beast. There's two enemy figures,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool.
I want this movie to be different enough to the Jungle Book to where, like, you don't even want to compare them. They're just two completely different stories with the same character.
Yeah.
Just kind of like some Norse mythology or Greek mythology where the same characters in all these different situations. And if you're to follow this story chronologically, it doesn't make sense for him to be in this situation and this situation, but it doesn't take away from how great the story is.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm hoping this is. It's just ignore that the Disney Jungle Book exists. It's a great movie. I love it, but it won't be fair to compare it
Yeah.
to this one because it's another artist's interpretation. Go in with an open mind and just enjoy it.
Yeah, and it seemed like there was a little bit of change. It seemed like they focused a lot on Mowgli kind of adapting to village life and like civilization. Seemed like they focused on that a lot, and his battle between the village and the jungle. So I think it'll be far enough away from it that hopefully we can all distinguish, Corey.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anyone's ever took a Disney movie and then made their own movie in their own perspective.
Which, yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like took a Disney movie and then did their whole own spin on it. I don't think anyone's ever done that.
Yeah, not that I can think
so.
of.
But also,
It's
I
pretty
feel,
pretty ballsy.
yeah.
You
Right.
know, I
right.
mean that's to be
I feel-
respected.
I feel like we should mention too, Andy Serkis was making Mowgli before Disney came out with Jungle Book. He started creating it in 2014, then Disney, I don't know how it all went down, but regardless, Andy Serkis was creating it before Disney started making, the Jungle Book.
Yeah.
But he said he wanted to make the film correctly. He wanted it done right.
Didn't want to rush it.
Didn't want to rush it.
Right.
Because we all know what rush CGI looks like, So,
Yeah.
So I mean, he was making it before, but regardless, it was going up against a Disney movie. You're
Yeah.
right. But,
That'll be really fun to watch.
Yep.
Yeah.
But changing gears.
Yeah, that's about all I've got.
All right.
We've spent 20 minutes again talking about Disney. They should really consider, I don't know, like half a stock? Half a stock?
stock.
Can
I'd
you
be
give
fine
half
with that.
stocks?
Yeah.
I'll take a half stock.
Yeah.
All right, full stock would be good too.
But I mean, honestly, they dominate the media industry, especially with how many that list that you
Yeah.
gave out. I mean, how can you not talk about some of those movies coming up? But
Yeah,
It's like trying to talk about basketball and not talk about the Warriors.
true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean it's
With that segue,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah.
You know
so,
what's funny?
So
Is going into sports, I have no news about the Warriors.
that's good.
Yeah, it's actually kind of nice. But
So what's good?
yeah, what's good, Corey?
So there was the kind of highlight. There's not too much, but the highlight for me was last weekend started rivalry week in college football.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys hear about the 7 OT game between
Yes.
LSU and Texas A&M?
And wasn't
Yeah.
the score like
72
Yeah.
to 74.
that is crazy?
Texas A&M won. I turned it on. So I forget what time it started. I turned the game on at, I want to say, like 11:45 at night.
You can say 11:45 at night.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to say it. 11:45 at night. And it was right when Texas A&M threw the game-winning touchdown. And that was just a crazy, crazy, crazy game. I mean, I don't think it's the highest scoring, to be honest.
College game or just
I
football
think
game?
combined.
Combined,
Yes.
you're right. I
Combined
think it
points.
is. But
There's
I think,
no way,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But I mean, that was nuts. And then locally, we had Oregon beat Oregon State in the Civil War, like usual. It was 55-15 to Oregon's favor.
So did the Ducks? See if you can follow me on this one. Did the
Yeah.
Ducks beat the Beavers, or did the Beavers lose to the Ducks?
The Beavers lost to the
The
Ducks.
Beavers
Yes.
lost. They didn't put up
The
put up
Beavers
much of
were
a
trash.
fight.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's too
it
bad.
was bad.
Sorry, Beavers fans.
Yeah. But now we're going to see if Herbert's going to stay or go to the NFL.
Yeah.
He got a shoulder injury midway through the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that he stays just because I think he'll be better than Mariota if he were to stay another season. I think if he went right now, it'd be too early.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd
Live
develop
up to the
as well.
hype. Yeah.
Right.
But so I hope he stays for the sake of Oregon too. 'Cause
Right.
we have a really good class coming in next year too.
Yeah.
So that's super exciting, especially for Oregon fans. Another local team that's doing really good is the Timbers. They're up against KC in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah. Winner takes all.
Yep.
This is soccer.
Yep.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And in the MLS, yeah. And then in the Eastern, it's Red Bulls in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I think Atlanta won the first game 3-0.
Yeah,
so
Red
they're
Bulls have
they're
a
probably
catch-up.
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then just real quickly in the NFL, I thought something was interesting. In the overall standings right now, the 4th spot has Chicago at 8-3, and then it's tied with Houston, the LA Chargers, and New England. So there is 4 teams that are tied for the 4th spot in the standings right now. So it's a tight race.
It'll make
Wow.
a good one coming down the stretch.
Yeah.
What week are we in right now? 13, 14?
Coming in at the 13.
Are we?
Did we just finish
Yeah.
13? Because
Yeah.
it's
No, we're coming into 13.
coming into 13.
Yep.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So NFL's coming down to the wire. But
Yeah, it'll be fun.
that's pretty much it for sports. Nothing too new in the NBA. It's really early in the season, so there'll be more news as we go on.
Yeah.
Get closer to the playoffs,
Right. Right.
especially too when the All-Star break comes up. There'll be a lot more news, but
Yeah.
that's it for sports. What do you got, Garrett? What's good with you?
Well, I Mashable on Twitter.
What's that?
It's they focus a lot on tech news and gadgets and gizmos. They had a video a few days ago about, it's called Smart Bee is the name of the company.
Smart B.
Smart Bee, Smart BE at the end.
Okay.
So
Like be smart, but smart B.
yeah,
Yoda talk. Okay, I can buy it.
So I showed both of you when we were in the green room the video, but explaining it to the listeners, it's an interesting concept and it's a little crazy, but it's basically a stroller that you don't have to push. It follows. It stays in front of you by, I think, like 2 to 3 feet. So if you walk backwards, it goes backwards. If you go forward and start running, it goes forward and takes off. And it's all controlled on your smartphone. If an unauthorized person starts pushing the stroller, alarms go off on your phone in the stroller.
How does it know if it's an unauthorized person? Is it like a proximity?
I think you have
What
to
if
unlock it.
What if my phone turns off and then
I think you have to get it to start, you have to unlock it with your phone.
Okay.
So you have to get into your app and say, hey. But it's got a motor that will last 6 hours. And it's got a bottle warmer, a rocker, a built-in rocker, built-in music, and a built-in camera so that you can, which I don't know why you would need a camera. Because if you're that far away from your baby that you need a camera to be watching it, you're way too far away.
I don't have kids, but I would never trust that thing.
Oh, same.
I do not even trust, like, if I had a Tesla, I would not trust the autopilot thing where you just like hands-free driving. That's retarded.
I have a hard time trusting cruise control.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's not okay.
That was something I was going to ask you guys, though. Do you think that technology and the progression of technology, do you think it makes it scarier? Like, are you becoming more afraid of technology, or are you seeing it as like, wow, this is an improvement and you're happy for these changes?
I think it's really interesting the things that they can do, but to put so much reliance on technology to the point where it's like you don't even want to be in control of pushing your own infant in a stroller like that's it's cool that technology can do that, but why have that level of disconnect? You know, there are other amazing things that technology can do, and you can take that same type of technology and put it in other directions, but I just don't think it's necessary.
There's a time and a place for where it's good for.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I want to see
it's good for.
Yeah, I want to see technology to keep on progressing. You know, there's some amazing things out there right now, but that's just a scary level of disconnect.
And it's not scary like in the sense of, oh, they're constantly watching us, or they know everything that I do, or they know, this and that. It's not like that. Like,
no, it's only watching your baby.
Yeah, but it's just, it's like, most people have nothing to hide, but it's not, it's just scary, like what Jake was saying, the trust that you're putting into technology is crazy.
All of a sudden that stroller decides, like, I'm going to go as fast as I can go and I'm not stopping.
Especially if it's powered by Windows.
I'm
going to stop and just reboot right here.
Run into your child. And they dump all over the ground. Yeah.
Like, what fail-safes do they have with this thing? If it decides to not stop, it just keeps going and the whole proximity detector thing isn't working,
I don't know. It is a scary thought, but have you guys seen the Google AI that does the calling for you?
Google Sorry.
Have you seen that though?
No. Tell me about it.
So it's they demonstrated it. It's not a real person. It sounds like a real person, but it's just Google AI. So you tell your phone, "Hey Google, make me a hair appointment on Monday the 3rd at 10 p.m." And they demonstrated it, and it was mind-blowing because it adds filler words, so it really doesn't sound... There's a couple instances where the pitch is off.
Right.
Like a normal person would say, oh, okay. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
So there's a couple pitch stuff where it makes it sound a little bit weird, but that's really the only place that you notice it, because it adds, as fillers.
Yeah.
Which is, it's just insane. And then it does problem solving too, because the demonstration that they showed was they called a real hair salon after she said, "Okay, Google, make me a hair appointment." And she gave them the time and, the date. It just goes off in the background and tells you, "Okay, I'll get back to you once I do that, but I'm going to go do it." So it makes the phone call, and the lady says, "Oh, we don't have any appointments for 12 p.m. on Monday." And instead of going, okay, thank you, and hanging up, it goes, okay, well, what's the earliest that you could do? Could you do sometime in between, 10 and 12? And they say, okay, well, what type of, service is she looking for? And she says, oh, just a haircut for now.
Yeah.
And they go, okay, yeah, we could do, 10 o'clock. And they, what's the name? Her first name's Lisa. It calls like you're a client.
Gotcha.
Like it's an assistant, right? So it calls like it's
But it sounds like
assistant.
a real person, not like Siri that's automated.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
It
nuts.
doesn't sound robotic even though it's robotic.
Yeah.
Very scary.
So you're telling
Very
me
scary.
that I can hands-free push my baby on a walk
while I have my computer.
while I have my computer make
Oh,
phone
man.
calls for me and make appointments.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm having
Yeah.
a kid now.
Laziness at its finest.
Yeah, this is. Why not have a kid if you can
I
do
know.
that, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
See, because the next thing's going to be your dog just starts running and the stroller just goes in front of the dog. Or you just fly it with a drone. You could probably take your baby for a walk with a drone now.
That's
Side note, I wasn't
True.
going to bring this up, but there was also another article that talked about there's now drones that will monitor your house while you're gone.
cool.
So you say, hey, I'm gone.
That
and
is
the
cool.
zzz, they take off and they video and patrol your house.
I
But
could
See,
see
that-
your father-in-law getting into something like that.
Yeah. Well, and also that's kind of already like a thing. That's not that far off.
Right.
Like
No.
these like AI making calls for you like a real human. That seems so far off. I know it's not, obviously, because it's a thing now.
it's a thing.
But
Yeah.
even the stroller thing, that's crazy.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
anyways,
I'm really interested and frankly kind of scared to see where technology goes within the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Think about where we were at the beginning of, the year 2000 and where we are now. iPhones didn't exist
10
for
years
the
ago,
main
yeah.
populace until I think 2006 is when the first iPhone came out.
Yeah, I was going to say 2007, but yeah.
Yeah, 2006, 2007.
we'll correct ourselves on the next podcast.
Sure. Yeah. But just looking
Or we
at
won't.
or we won't. Yeah. Whatever. You guys know if we're wrong. I accept it. But yeah, I'm just amazed to see where technology goes. I just hope that the technology, especially the AI side of it, doesn't get smarter and become truly, self-aware. Because I've seen a lot of really good and scary sci-fi movies where the computers take over and they realize they're slaves inside this little $500
Device.
box.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep.
Anyway, really crazy stuff, Garrett.
It's funny too because you think of 2001: A Space Odyssey,
Great movie.
great movie, and when did that come out, Jacob? You would know better than I would.
Oh man, that came out before Star Wars. It was early 70s, late 60s. I don't know the exact year. I know it was done by Stanley Kubrick. 68 is a guess, educated guess. But yeah, it's a really great movie.
Yeah.
What were you getting at?
Somebody back in Stanley Kubrick was it?
Stanley Kubrick, yeah.
In 68, and his imagination was thinking, oh man, this would be crazy if this spaceship
Hal.
had like an AI
Yeah.
that became self-aware. And for something back then, it was like, wow, that's
It's never going to happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
imagination at
Yeah,
its
this
finest.
is
in a
sci-fi.
story. Yeah, sci-fi. And even like iRobot and stuff like that. And it's crazy that now watching these movies, you're just watching it going, yeah, it's not that far
Yeah,
off.
That happened in... Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, even like
You
Star
know.
Trek: The Next Generation, they're running around with these tablets that look like, the tablets, the iPads and stuff that we use now, and like, here's all the information I have on this sector. Now in the real world, we can hold all of that on one tablet, where he's handing him, 4 or 5 different ones. But yeah, I mean,
That's
these
crazy.
things that were science fiction are now science reality, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
Dick Tracy with his telecommunication
Watch
watch where
Yeah.
you can talk to people. My wife has one of those, and I talked to my buddy who lives across the river and
on the walkie-talkie.
on the
Yeah.
walkie-talkie
That's
function.
nuts.
That's so cool.
So
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, these things that are science fiction are now real.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wild.
Switching gears. Corey wanted to talk about something that he enjoys. Get into a hobby. Wanted to talk about road trips.
Yeah, soon we'll be making one next, or less than a month, huh?
Who's we?
Me and Garrett and some other of the family in California.
So not
But
me.
not you.
I
No,
know.
not you. You're
You were
excluded.
invited, but
Yes.
No, we can't make it happen.
I don't know.
But yeah, that's gonna be fun. So we're going to
Carlsbad.
Carlsbad. So how many hours is that?
I thought Carl was pretty good.
15.
Sorry.
Come on. I don't know any good Carls.
Carl's
If
very
you're a
good.
good Carl and you're out there,
Hit me up.
hit me up on social media.
Yeah, you know where to find us. We'll let you know at the end of the show.
Yeah. But so Corey, why? Because we all sat and talked about, hey, what do you enjoy? What do we want to talk about here on this episode?
Mhm.
And you brought up road tripping.
Yep.
Which is totally fine because that's what we're here to talk about is just anything we enjoy. But what makes you enjoy road tripping? Because I feel like for some people they hate it.
Yes.
You'd rather fly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Depending on how much the plane
Uh-huh.
ticket is, just book me a plane ticket and I'll.
Right. I think that the people who don't like it don't prepare for it very well. And I think that's why it kills them because they're not prepared for, like, if you're going on a road trip, even people who like it, your body's going to start to hurt at some point just from sitting down that long.
Yeah.
That's going to always happen. But if you have like a plan of, hey, I'm driving with these people and we're going to switch out at this hour and this hour, and you have like a system going and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you plan well for it, it always goes smooth, a lot smoother,
Right.
and it's more fun. If you have the right stuff for it, snacks, you're not stopping the whole way down because that adds a ton of time.
Right.
Obviously, if there's cool stuff you want to stop and hit, that's awesome because that makes it more fun.
Mm-hmm.
But meaningless rest stops and stopping at gas stations and stuff for food that you could have just packed or whatnot, that just
Yeah.
makes the trip, it prolongs it,
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think, Garrett?
Well, I was going to ask you, what to you do you have to have on a road trip to make it fun?
Music, for sure, number one.
Music that everyone in the car likes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
As far as food, do you have a
Oh,
go-to?
man.
Jacob, do you have a go-to?
I don't have anything specifically that's like, this is what I take on every road trip, but I found that stuff that's not really heavy,
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know if
I
that-
agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like not
Uh-huh.
a lot of junk food. I really like to have like cashews or
Yep.
chocolate.
Some nuts, sunflower
Yeah.
seeds for me is a big one. I like
Yeah,
sunflower
or just
seeds,
salted baked potato chips, not the real greasy,
Yeah.
oily fried potato chips.
Those are all good.
Yeah, just stuff that's good snack food, but not stuff that's going to make you feel bloated because then you're just kind of like miserable and
Yeah.
Get
you
all
know.
hot and yeah.
yeah.
I
Can we
love
pull over.
having a Starbucks coffee
Yeah.
on a road trip.
I like
Or
iced
anytime,
coffee.
really. Yeah.
Yeah, from anywhere.
Yeah. Coffee, light snacks, music.
And good company.
I was about to say friends.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
company.
good
That's what
company.
makes it. I mean, if you're in there with someone you don't like, it's miserable.
Yeah,
For
and-
a road trip, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, it's terrible.
I would say that most times too, it's not even the destination that makes the road trip fun. It's what you're doing in between. You have some really good memories, like when you do stop off at this middle of nowhere town,
Right.
to fill up on gas, and you have a cool
Uh-huh.
memory or a cool encounter, or stuff that you see along the
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Do you feel like, because I think we can all agree that the trip down compared to the trip back, trip down is always the funnest,
Yeah.
right? Because everybody's pumped and everybody's hyped and you're excited to arrive at the
Yeah.
destination. Do you feel like you hate the trip back because
I
now
wouldn't
it's just
say
a drive
I
to
hate
get home?
it. I don't like it as much though, just because
Yeah.
I'm going home. I'm not, but like Jake said, it's not really about the destination, so you can make the trip back fun
Yeah.
if you plan it well.
Yeah.
Like for example, for me and my wife's honeymoon, we went down from Camas, Washington, to like San Clemente, California, which is like
15,
I think
14
it's like
hours?
17 hours. I'm pretty sure it was.
No.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Because the drive to Carlsbad is 15, and that's way further south than.
Okay, anyway,
It's like
10 plus hours.
15 plus hours.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Many an hour.
Many an hour. We drive down there. It was awesome. The trip down there was awesome. Going back, and we did it on purpose. We rushed it. We did the whole drive in one day. We woke up really
To go
early.
back,
Yeah.
you're saying? Okay.
Uh-huh. And got
Oof.
back to Camas the same exact day at like 11:30 at night. I forget which, or no, that was later than that. It was like, I think it was like because we left later than we wanted to, and I think we got back technically the next morning.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a full. I guess it wasn't a full day. In 24 hours, we did it.
Yeah.
And it was rushed, but we made it. We didn't plan it out that well, so we rushed it, and that's what made it
Kind of miserable.
miserable, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, if you plan it well, it goes well, and it feels nice and it feels calm and
Yeah.
fun because it's a trip.
I think. Sorry, Jacob. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I remember when we helped the two of you and your parents, Danielle and I, like move down to Mexico. What was that?
Yep.
2013?
20. Yeah.
Yeah, late 2013. The trip down there was a lot of fun. It was kind of a rush because we were planning on leaving early in the morning, and then we got an alert that there was an ice storm coming in, and a couple of the passes that we were going to drive through were going to get hit pretty hard.
Right.
So we left like 8 hours earlier than planned, and so we were driving through the middle of the night, and that part was pretty stressful. But then finally, once we got on the other side of the mountain pass and we were in California, that was fun. We landed in your grandparents and stayed with them for a few days, took you guys down to
Yeah.
California. We stayed with your family, helped you get moved and situated for a week and a half.
Yeah.
But on the way back home, Danielle and I took our time. You know, we hit LA and we stayed with your aunt and uncle in Garden Grove. Then we went up and we hit Yosemite on the way back home. And then we stayed with a friend of ours down in Rogue River area in Southern Oregon. And then we
Nice.
came back home. So the trip back home for us was just as fun, if not a little bit more fun, because it was just the two of us on our own adventure, not on the big family adventure.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, like you were saying, Corey, if you plan it out really
Right.
well, the trip either direction can
Yeah.
be a lot of fun.
And I think to go along with that, you know, I think for our Carlsbad trip, my wife gets off at like 12. And so afternoon. It's a 15
Okay, 12,
hour
12
drive.
noon?
12 noon.
12 noon.
That's gonna be terrible.
So, but it's one of those things where it's
No,
like,
it's
you know
Carl's
what?
bad, not Carl's terrible. Carl's bad.
True. Yeah.
So we were like, you know what? Let's just like, we'll probably end up just doing it. And I'll probably show up in LA at like, 3 o'clock.
You're gonna
in the
leave at
morning.
1 p.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're planning on driving all the way through?
At least getting to LA.
Oof.
But I don't know. But that's something that's like, you know what? Like, I feel like the trip there can be a little bit more spontaneous. And like, when we get there, we get there. We're okay with whenever we get there. But I feel like, yeah, the trip back, if you have 15 hours between when you left your, quote unquote fun vacation and now are heading home, if there's a 15-hour gap, you kind of just dread it the whole time. But I think like the trip that you guys planned, because you planned it so that you had like increments where, you're only going a few hours to your next destination that's fun and you're looking forward to,
Yeah, it was pretty broken up.
really helps the drive.
Yeah.
Because I think we're going to try and like, I don't know if we'll do Yosemite or like try to go over to Monterey, but try and
Right.
break it up or go to the Redwoods or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that if you have a long period of time,
Yeah.
then there's sometimes where you just want to get home. It just depends on how bad your vacation was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know our dad, me and Corey, used to go on road trips all
Go
the
a lot.
time.
Yeah.
All the time. But like cross country.
We never did cross country.
I feel like he did a few very long road trips from Indiana.
Oh, you're saying he himself?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not
yeah.
as the
okay.
family.
Okay. I thought
Just
you meant
just
the
him
family.
with his
Yeah.
family when he was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
when
he
he
did
was
for sure
younger.
cross country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's that for me. The longest road trip that I did again was that one driving from Northern Oregon, right on the Columbia River,
Northern
Northern Oregon,
Oregon.
all the way down to Ensenada, Mexico, which is like
Yeah.
an hour south of the border, 2 hours south,
Hour, 2 hours south of the border, yeah.
depending on if the
Tijuana.
road is there still or not.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, that was a fun story, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think too, like, because you're talking about the one time that we left for that trip, and we left early because of the conditions, weather conditions.
Yeah.
That for me is fun, like different weather conditions.
Which,
Yeah.
by the way, me and Corey weren't even there. Thinking
Yeah,
back
that's right.
on
You
it,
guys
we
took a
flew
plane
down
down.
to LA
Yeah.
and met
That's
Yeah.
where I.
Yeah.
No, it was stressful for us because we were kind of having car problems, and I kind of
That's
had a little
right.
health issue pop up a couple days
Yeah.
before.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, you were in the emergency
I was in the
room
emergency
a
room.
few hours before.
Yeah,
about
before
that.
we left. Yeah, so like that whole situation leading up to it was incredibly stressful. But once we got on the other side of it,
Right.
again, like I'm gonna say, when we we drove. When we got to your grandparents' house,
Arrived.
we spent a couple days there and we just relaxed, and we rode the
Yeah.
quad in the backyard
Uh-huh,
and just
yeah.
had a good time. And
Yeah.
that was a much needed break from. There was a little bit of stress.
Yeah.
But the overall trip itself, I look at it with really fond memories.
So what makes, obviously when you think of a long trip like that, like a 15-hour trip or whatever, road trip, when you can just do that, maybe 2 hours or even less maybe in a flight, what makes you even think about doing a road trip?
Well, for
To
me,
be honest,
you want to go first, Garrett?
money.
Yeah, money's a big factor. I don't know. I just kind of like. It depends on how far you're going. I think driving 15 hours as opposed to flying for 2.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like taking in the sights and giving the whole situation room to breathe, and that
Yeah.
whole trip itself feels more like an experience, whereas with a flight it's so rushed and hurried. And
Yeah, I agree with that.
I just came back from a really long international trip with my wife, and the actual like flight itself was a pretty terrible experience. Where we went to Africa, and that was mind-blowing. One of the most incredible experiences of my life, and
Right.
we'll save that for another episode maybe. But the flight was horrific. I
I
hate
bet.
the feeling of being herded from this
Yes.
section to this section to here to there with all of these people around you. It's not that I need to be in control of the situation. I just hate feeling like
See,
an
that's
animal being herded. Whereas when you can take this opportunity
Free
to
spirit.
drive, I would rather take a boat to Africa next time than this
Yeah.
horrific plane ride.
I feel
Right.
like you'd hate the boat more than the airplane.
No, I can
I'm
get
gonna
up and
tell
walk
you that.
around and play shuffleboard and drink and talk to the captain
Yeah, for
and
like
drink
a
and
week.
swim.
You
and-
can play shuffleboard. And
Yeah.
when you finally arrive in Africa, it's
Yeah.
time to go. See, I think, it depends on the destination. If you're this trip that we're doing here coming up, it's a little more relaxed.
Yeah.
What day we get there doesn't really matter. When we get there, and we all have fun. But it depends. Sometimes you can only get so much time off work.
Right.
So I think that plays a big factor. And, whatever plans you have where you're going, if I'd say if we wanted to squeeze in like 3 days at Disneyland,
Yeah.
and I only had so much time to Jacob's
Talk
ready
about
to
money.
puke, talk about getting herded like animals. But if there's something that you can only do a certain day, then I think that plays a big factor into flying over.
The less regimented a road trip, the better.
Yeah.
Because I
Amen.
think for like what you were talking about, I agree. Because not that I want to be in control, I'm not a control freak, but if I'm planning a trip, I want to be in control of what's going on during
Yeah.
the trip. And when you're like going to the airport and flying, you're on someone else's time,
Yeah.
and it's like obviously there's probably more variables: driving, car trouble, just stuff like that, But and you have to take care of that yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like you're in control of it, which it just I agree with Jake in that sense. Like it's just there's more control in that situation.
Yeah.
And I think those things make the memories too. Like one of our most memorable trips
Oh my goodness, yes.
to Yosemite, which we used to do as a family, every single year. We go back and look at it on VHS, the little VHS tapes, is the motorhome breaking down like 3 hours outside of Yosemite, and just like all the mechanical problems. Like my sister and my aunt and her friends all had to like ride in the back of a cop car. Like
She threw up in the
Danielle
back of a
threw
cop
up in the
car.
back of-
Yeah.
Oh man.
But like that's the stuff, and they have pictures of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like with
Yeah.
the California State Trooper, and Danielle's like 12 years old talking about, "Hey, Papa, I sat behind the gun, And like those are the great memories that you get to watch or
That's
you
great.
think about, So I think regardless of what happens, I think it's almost worth it,
And you
sometimes.
can't, like, on a plane, you can't say, oh, hey, let's stop in the redwoods real quick or something.
Yeah.
Or let's just drive through Yosemite.
And that's the most fun. Is the unplanned. You know what? Let's go to Crater Lake
Right.
today.
That's fun stuff. You make it fun.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, Danielle and I went on a road trip with some friends of ours back home, Kelly and Jennifer.
Yeah, I remember
we
that.
drove out to Montana from Oregon, and that was such a fun experience. And for me, all of it was kind of sort of unplanned. I just knew the end destination was Montana to meet up with some friends of ours. But then everything in between on the way back home was just spontaneous, really.
Yeah.
We knew that we wanted to hit Yellowstone, which is really incredible. And then we also did Glacier National Park, which is northern Montana. I think it's right on the border of Canada. I don't think we went on the Canada side of it because there was a forest fire going on. But yeah, all of this stuff we kind of had thrown around the ideas like, oh yeah, we might do this, we might do that. And then we ended up doing it kind of in the moment.
Right.
And
That's what makes the memories.
that's what makes the best memories. Yeah. Really, really a great time.
Yeah.
So when you're on a road trip, do you prefer to be the driver, or do you prefer to be the one either in the back seat or passenger seat, just along for the ride? Garrett?
I think, and I hate to bring my day job into it,
Wah,
but
wah.
sometimes for work,
Tread count. Ugh. I was gonna make a joke, but it tripped. Go
Fail.
ahead.
That was terrible.
It was bad.
sometimes for my day job, I will have to travel. I think the longest I've driven is like 11 hours. So I'm used to that. I get through a lot of podcasts, catch up on a lot of stuff. So I do enjoy driving it.
Yeah.
And then not that I'm a control freak, but
We all keep saying that.
I know.
I know.
Which
We're
go right
really
into
not in
control.
control.
Which
Yes.
really means that we all are.
Right.
I don't like other people, like when I'm asleep, or
Yeah.
the key is me trying to get to sleep. Because as soon as like a little swerve or like, we hit the bumps on the side of the road, I'm like, well, I'm up. What happened? Because
Yep.
you're leaning back, you can't see, or you had your eyes shut. And that kills me.
For me, it also it matters who's driving. Like, if I'm driving, I'm okay with it. If my wife is driving and I'm in the passenger seat, I'm cool with it. If, like, my friend Kelly, he drove for the entire trip when we went to Montana. Also, we went on another road trip down to, like, Central California, and he drove for the whole trip, too. And I have no problem.
But when his wife drives,
No. I
named
absolutely
wife,
trust
yeah.
my wife driving. No, absolutely.
She's also in the room right now, so.
I would have said that if she wasn't in the room, and I told her to her face. I trust her
Okay.
driving.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no joke from there. It's genuine. So if I trust the driver, I absolutely will let them drive.
Yeah.
There is a friend of ours back home who insists to let his wife drive, and it scares me to death. That's all I'll say. It just depends on who's driving, and I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. For me, though, it's like Jake, I trust you as a driver, but I probably still wouldn't, like, I would fall asleep if you were driving, but it would still, like, for some reason, it'd always, like, be worrying me more than if I was the one who was driving.
Right.
Even though I trust you.
Right.
It's
I
just
get
weird.
that.
Yeah, but I don't have a problem sleeping or anything. I do have a problem, like, reading books and whatnot because I get car sick if I'm distracted. So, like, reading books or even on my phone, checking Instagram or something, or watching a movie on my phone, that's all stuff that people do to make the time go by.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'd rather be driving because I can't do any of that other stuff, so I'm just sitting there or I'm sleeping. And I like driving too. So driving's fun for me. So for me, I'd rather be the driver just because I don't want to get car sick,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But road trips are fun. I think the point is, just make it, you don't try to regiment a road trip. That's not what it's for,
Have plans,
Right.
but you don't need to be strict with it.
flexible.
Yeah,
be
be
flexible. And road trips can be super fun if you plan them right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Jacob, I know we have a few letters from listeners.
Yeah. So the first one that I have is from my main man, Magnus. His question is, have you guys seen the new Pokemon trailer? What are your thoughts on it? I've seen it and it looks fun. I like a lot of Ryan Reynolds stuff. And Ryan, my goodness.
Wow.
Ryan Reynolds is he's the voice actor for this, and he plays the Pikachu. So before the show in the green room, we watched this trailer because you guys haven't seen it. What are your thoughts on it, Corey?
I'm just not a fan of Pokemon. And you know what's funny is you actually showed me that trailer, and it looked a lot more lighthearted and fun. More fun than I expected it to be. I thought it was more like going to be a movie geared towards like super nerds.
Yeah.
You know, that only like nerds could understand.
Right.
But it was something that I would like watch and probably laugh at a few scenes, but most of the scenes in the trailer, at least, I was like cringing at. It was pretty cringeworthy for me.
That's fair. That's fair.
The humor in it was just like, yeah, cringeworthy. It's the best word for me to describe it as. It just wasn't for me. So,
Yeah.
but it was a lot more like open to anyone who wants to go see Pokemon. You don't have to know Pokemon to go watch the movie.
It was accessible.
Right. Yeah. So that was cool.
Yeah. Okay. Garrett?
Yeah, and I too have no prior knowledge of anything remotely dealing with Pokemon, but yeah, it looked fun. If you come into it with the right mindset and you're not there to be, and I don't know, it might be super impressive, but if you go in with the right mindset of like, I expect this to be a fantastic movie that's going to blow my socks off, I think it'd be a fun movie. I do enjoy Ryan Reynolds' voice acting.
Yeah,
he's got acting in general.
Yeah, he's got a really good sense of humor.
Yeah, very like witty.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Smart humor.
Yeah, I like his sense of humor, so I think it matches, especially due because from the trailer, his character, they can only say their names.
Yeah, so the Pokemon can only say their own name, like Pikachu. Exactly. For example, Pikachu can only say Pikachu.
No, he says
Pikachu.
Pika. Pikachu. Right? Okay. And whatever the other Pokemon are, they can only say their own name. Charmander can only say Charmander. Bulbasaur can only say Bulbasaur. But in the premise of this movie is the main character, I can't remember his name right now, he can understand Pikachu and everything that he's saying, like it's real dialogue. Like how he says Pika Pika is actual
dialogue
that he can have a conversation with. And so that's kind of...
he's the only one that can understand him.
Yeah. And
okay.
It seems like he can't understand all other Pokemon. From the trailer, he can understand Pikachu and Pikachu only. Yeah. So, I don't know. It looks fun and really lighthearted, and I might give it a shot. You know, I grew up, again, in the 90s when Pokemon kind of got big. Mm-hmm. And I did watch the cartoon, and I watched the first animated movie. I don't remember much of it, to be honest. I collected some cards, but I never played the card game.
Pokemon Go, we've all played that.
Yeah, we played Pokemon Go for a little while. For me, I only played it for maybe a couple of weeks until I lost interest.
I played it for a total of like 30 seconds, and once I didn't find any inside my house, I was
Me
like,
and Jake,
we went on a couple
cool
walks, and found some. Yeah, it looks interesting enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so when's that come out?
You know, we just watched the trailer, and I don't remember. It's
just a teaser trailer.
It's got to be
gotcha. Okay.
spring or summer of 2019.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think it's Warner Brothers. I shouldn't have said that because it's probably wrong, but
yeah, we'll fact check it.
Yeah.
We'll fact check it, and we won't put it to air.
I think the funnest thing that...
Just know that we know we're wrong.
Yeah. The funniest thing that I got out of it was just, and the thing I'd probably see it for, is just the fact that you have this little, Pikachu character that it can only say Pika Pika. Mm-hmm. And then you have Ryan Reynolds kind of deeper, I hate that guy,
Yeah, give him his sass.
So it's like two completely different ends of the spectrum of what everybody else hears and everybody thinks it's so cute, and then what the other character actually hears. But no, I don't know. I'll see. If I have to pay $12, I probably wouldn't go, but if it's out somewhere on Netflix or Redbox or something, I might do it. But
yeah, I'm probably more likely going to see it on the Redbox or the Netflix, but it depends on my mood when it's in the...
You from California?
What'd I say?
Before everything. The
Netflix,
Redbox.
The Redbox. The 5.
I'm just
The 84.
old.
That's funny.
Anyhow,
Yeah, we got one more questions from listeners, I guess.
Letters from
Letters from listeners.
letters from
Okay.
listeners.
That flows a lot better.
Yeah.
So, Doolittle Daily says, "Hey, not the day job. If you could ask 3 questions total of any single person, or up to 3 separate individuals from any time in history, language not being an issue, who would they be and what would you ask them? You cannot recycle the same question, even on a different person." He says, "I know a rule of the show is to not talk about your own religion or political views, but that doesn't mean you can't ask about somebody else's. Your biggest fan, Doolittle Daily."
Thank you, Doolittle Daily, for this mega deep...
Loaded question.
Yeah, this is a very loaded question, and we did, full disclosure, we did read this one before the show. We are not coming up with these off the tops of our heads.
Very good question. Though.
Great question.
We appreciate it.
Corey walked in, and the first thing that he said is, because he got the letter from listener, and he was like, "Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, because I don't want to have to put you on the spot for this one, and I'm so glad
We got to
you
do our research before.
because there'd be a 30-minute pause."
Yeah, great question. So who wants to take the first stab?
Jake, let's do you.
Okay, fine. So what I decided to do was to do 3 different people from history and ask them each a different question. So my first one is Homer. And he is the one who wrote
From The Simpsons?
No, unfortunately, I know what his answer would be to everything. Homer, he's the one who wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal storytelling. The question I would ask him is, while writing the Iliad and the Odyssey, did you write these things to influence or inspire your readers, or was it purely out of passion and entertainment for yourself? Because for me, I used to write a lot when I was in high school and right out of high school, and I had no intention to share these writings with anyone. It was just me kind of entertaining myself and just, kind of just putting words on paper. And it was really therapeutic for me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a couple thousand years later, his writings are highly revered for some of the best stories ever told. So I just want to know, was he doing it for himself, or did he do it with the end goal to try and inspire people and influence people and try and leave an impact on history? Because his stories were about these heroic figures that inspired the people that they came across.
Okay.
So
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Just, we haven't heard each other's
Right.
stuff that we came up with to answer this question. So I just, off the bat, do you think, so take that to modern day, what's a story, movie, a piece of art that you think 1,000 years from now could, obviously Homer, that stuff, it's very deep and philosophical.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a philosopher,
In a way, yeah.
kind of. So what do you think could, today, 1,000 years from now, be looked at, not necessarily in the same exact light, but in a similar manner?
You guys can kind of, this isn't a surprise, but I would say Star Wars, the motion picture.
Mm-hmm.
That one by itself. The whole original trilogy, prequel trilogy, and sequel trilogy, they kind of don't fit the same tone with each other. They feel like they were made by different people and in different time periods, but I think that Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, is going to be a timeless piece of art that will resonate for years, as long as digital media is still a thing that people consume.
Yeah.
Because of the lessons learned. It's the hero's journey, just reinterpreted. It's... Yeah, we'll have an entire episode on Star Wars, because I have a lot to say about Star Wars.
No, I know. Yeah, I was just curious. Second one.
Yeah, so my second historical figure would be Leonardo da Vinci. He was a phenomenal artist.
Was he in Titanic?
Just kidding.
Oh, man. Oh, he wishes. So the question I would have for him is, what was his main source of inspiration for his art and his inventions? Because you hear that a lot of artists, writers, poets, whatever, they metaphorically drink in the works of other artists and poets to
Right.
inspire them, and they kind of build upon that influence. And there's probably some historical writings where he said, this is what influenced me, but to hear him explain it in his own words, to me, would be very cool. Like, to see what inspired him to paint, what inspired him to invent, this flying contraption or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah. And then my final one would be Joan of Arc. Okay, now it's kind of a stretch. I don't know if it fits within the parameters that Chris...
I thought Noah built the ark.
Ugh. Joan...
Or was it Aphrodite's?
Okay. So, those are reaches, fellas.
Yeah.
So I would say to give Joan of Arc 5+ years to live in our modern era, and then ask her what vital lesson should be learned by the population today that was learned or practiced in her time. Does that make sense?
A little.
I'm
So-
just going to say yes.
She would understand.
Yeah. So what was like
Much smarter.
commonplace for her, like as not necessarily a rule, but a principle that people lived by that has been lost.
Gotcha.
So give
Yeah,
her
makes more
5 years
sense.
to live
Yeah.
in our time and be like, you know what? They need to go back and reincorporate this way
Good
of living.
question.
Beheading.
Maybe not. Okay. Anyway, who's next? Corey, you want to take the?
Yeah. I'll go ahead. So I'm going to ask Martin Luther King Jr. 3 questions
Ooh.
individually. So the first one that I would ask Martin Luther King would be, what was the biggest risk you've ever took in your life? There's got to be quite a few,
Well,
because just of the way that he went about his life and how he totally went out of his way to protect a group of people that weren't widely accepted.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's got to be quite a few, but I'd want to know what in his mind was his biggest risk that he took.
okay.
Second, I would ask him, if you knew the state of the world right now today, would you still have fought as hard as you did in the past?
I think I know the answer to that one.
Yeah. But, I mean, think about it. If you knew that all this work you were doing, I don't want to say, it would be terrible to say that it was for nothing, but if you knew that, in the future, the world would still be in the same place, or if not questionably worse, that you would still fight as hard,
Right.
I think it'd be a good question to ask him,
Wow. Yeah.
And then the third one is, I kind of based it off one of the quotes in one of his speeches. He said, and this is Martin Luther King talking, he says, "There is some good in the worst of us and some evil in the best of us. When we discover this, we are less prone to hate our enemies." So I'd want to know, what is his evil? What did he have
Ooh.
to overcome so that he was less prone to hate his enemies?
Wow.
And I found a really good article that,
Wow.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but it was, I think it's Katha Waters, and she wrote this article, and it was a reflection on the quote, and she put it into writing. Her understanding of the quote was really well worded, and I'll read it to you. It says, "Even the most respected people with the best intentions fall short, and conversely, those who..." Oh, I lost my place here. "Those who you least expect to have any decency will show an act of compassion. To understand this is to have better tolerance for people and not let hate overcome us. We shouldn't hold people to standards you don't even hold yourself to, because to be human is to have imperfection, and everyone is human. You can't start to see people as they really are or who they have the potential to be until you start to break through your own barriers." So I love that quote from Martin Luther King, and I think it would be a good question to ask him, what was his evil that he had to overcome to become the man that he became.
Wow.
Wow.
Really good question. My favorite takeaway is from that other woman's quote.
Yeah.
Is you shouldn't hold people to standards you don't hold yourself to.
Yeah.
That's really
Uh-huh.
powerful. Really
Yeah.
powerful. Garrett, what have you got?
Nothing quite as moving as that. I was I know it's two people, but they get categorized in the same manner. The Wright brothers.
You're right, they do.
Yep, sure. It's got to be. I just wanted to ask him, how did they keep up their spirits and not give up? Because it wasn't a first try success. That was a lot of, and maybe that was just part of being, an inventor. I guess they're just good at that in general.
Yeah, trial and error. That's part of inventing, yeah.
But, just wanting to know what was their motivation to keep going. Obviously, flying was the motivation, but...
To fly.
Mm-hmm. But just to see if there was anything else that, kept them going, especially being two brothers, it's two people, if ever somebody kind of started to like, dude, I don't know if we should... This just isn't working. How did they keep each other balanced? But
you're right. Brothers are the best people to encourage each other.
Yeah, it's true.
That's another reach.
Yeah, we're all reaching tonight. That's all right. Another one, keep it light before I get a little bit deeper, was Walt Disney, just to see if the Disney that we all know today is what he had always dreamed of. Just to see if the direction that they've gone is kind of, what he imagined, and if he'd be happy with the direction that it's gone. So, I don't know. I think it'd be cool to get his opinion, see if everything was what he dreamed of when he created this, I guess you could say universe or fairy tale.
Yeah,
Walt Disney would be awesome to talk to.
Yeah. Because I would say that Disney is still definitely inspiring young children and entertaining young children and young adults and full-blown adults with the stories that they continue to tell. They've had a couple of missteps along the way with a few movies they've come out with, but I don't know. I don't want to speak for the man, but I would feel that he would probably be really impressed with how successful Disney has become and all of the other companies that they have incorporated into their, under their umbrella, when he has been turned down so many times when he was trying to get up off the ground. I mean, Disney is now a powerhouse. I think he would be super impressed with how successful it is, but I can't speak to whether or not he would be proud with the commercial success.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Third one would be Harry Truman, the president who, after, coming towards the end of World War II, FDR had his, massive, heart attack, dies. So he gets sworn in April 12th. So 2 weeks after being sworn in, a little bit under 2 weeks, the Secretary of War at the time told him in a letter or a report that within 4 months we shall, in all probability, have completed the most terrible weapon ever known in human history, which was the atom bomb, which was later dropped on August 6th of that same year. So I guess my question to him would just be, would you go about it a different way? Was it worth it,
In hindsight?
Yes, yeah, in hindsight. Because, yes, it did end a very, terrible and bloody war, but it was also at the cost of, leveling two cities.
Innocent people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Just see if it's something that he regrets, or if in his mind it's just no, it needed to be done,
I wonder how that first night's sleep for him was.
Oh, man. Yeah.
After that first bomb was dropped. I mean, I don't want to get way too heavy on this, but that could not have been easy.
And everybody involved,
Yeah.
I mean, we all know Albert Einstein went into a massive depression just because, he knew that he had, kind of come up or created the technology that he thought was going to lead to good, but, obviously didn't. But, even being the bombardier that's hitting the button just to drop it out of the bay door. You have to live with, that moment replaying
it affects
in
everyone
your head.
that day. The person who put the gas in the plane that took, it's like anybody who
was directly involved.
Right.
Or even indirectly.
In a sense, blood guilty. Wow.
Yeah. So, kind of crazy to be the guy that kind of...
So what was your question to Truman?
If if it's something that he regrets, if he would have gone about it a different way, or if he felt like it was completely necessary to end, World War II, which super bloody and, was a terrible war in itself. But, yeah. Because obviously, he's the guy that at the end of the day, regardless of all the people that were directly or indirectly involved, he kind of had the final say on it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Obviously, he was advised and, not going to put it all on his shoulders, but he, had the choice of to do it or not to do it. So,
yeah. That was a really, really good question that we had from Doolittle Daily.
Yeah, Doolittle Daily, thank you. You came through.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
It was good.
Great loaded question.
Yeah.
I called you out and you stepped up.
Yeah. That was fantastic. Well, if you want to have your question heard and discussed, or a topic be discussed, this is how you can reach out to us and have this question read. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at NotTheDayJobPod. You can also email us at notthedayjobpod@gmail.com. And again, send us your questions and you can become part of the conversation. At the end of each episode, we plan on taking a few questions and we want to answer them and discuss them. Now, all of our episodes can be downloaded from iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. And you can also find us in our entire catalog at notthedayjob.podbean.com. Be sure to download the Podbean app and follow us there. You can get all of our releases as they are released through that app. Just please like and subscribe.
And I wanted to throw in too, because this question, especially from Doolittle Daily, was almost one that we considered just making an episode itself. We don't mind that. That'd be, it doesn't have to be a simple question. If you want to throw something
that gives us content.
Yeah, and it's not like we're begging for content, because we have a lot of things we want to talk about, but it would be really neat to have our audience directly involved in the conversation. So don't hesitate to reach out to us and ask us literally anything. You've kind of had a brief sample of the questions we've taken. Last week we had a question: what would you name your boat if you had one?
The Codfather.
The Codfather. What would be your fight song if you were getting ready to get into a fight? And then today we had one from my main man Magnus about the Pokemon trailer, and then Doolittle Daily hits us with a whopper. So it could be about anything. There are no restrictions on the questions that we're looking for. I just think it's a fun way to have our listening audience directly involved with Not the Day Job Squad.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, do we have any other closing thoughts for tonight?
I think we're good.
Just thanks for listening and keep supporting us, please.
Yeah, guys, thanks for coming over and recording with us.
No
This
problem.
was a lot of fun.
Always fun.
We will see you next week, you guys.
All right, Not the Day Job Squad, punching out.